Here we have a trigonometric problem, that is we have to solve for x in the given equation. So where x has to be greater than or equal to 0 and it has to be less than pi. That is we have to find the value of x in this interval. Okay, here when you look at the given equation over here, the product of two binomials equals to 0. Whenever the product of two terms equals to 0, either the first term has to be 0 or the second term has to be 0, or both the terms can be 0. Anyways, since the product of the two terms equals to 0, either the first term can be 0, that is sin x negative 1 half equals to 0, or the second term can be 0, that is cosine x positive square root of 3 over 2 equals to 0. Okay, now let's solve for sin x in this equation. For that, I have to get rid of this negative 1 half. For that, I have to add 1 half to both sides. Let me do it. So when I add 1 half to both sides, the negative 1 half, positive 1 half will cancel. I'm getting sin x equals to positive 1 half. And now to solve for cosine x in this equation, I have to get rid of this positive square root of 3 over 2. For that, I subtract square root of 3 over 2 from both sides. Let me finish. So positive value, negative value will cancel. I'm getting cosine x equals to negative square root of 3 over 2. Okay, now I got two equations now. One is sin x equals to 1 half and the other one is cosine x equals to negative square root of 3 over 2. Here, the value of sin x is positive. So whenever the value of sin x is positive, then the angle measure x over here has to be either in the first quadrant or in the second quadrant. So because the given interval covers the 4 quadrants, okay, let me draw the 4 quadrants over here. Just a moment. Let me draw the 4 quadrants over here. We know that, so here we have 0, here we have pi over 2, here we have pi, here we have 3 pi over 2, and here we have 2 pi. Okay, so this is first quadrant and second quadrant. Since sin x is positive 1 half, so the angle measure x has to be either in the first quadrant over here or here. Okay, now let me consider the first quadrant. So we have to find the angle measure for which the value of sin is 1 half. We can use either trigonometric ratio table or unit circle to get the angle measure for which the value of sin is 1 half. So like we get pi over 6 in the first quadrant, which is 30 degree. So for which the value of sin is 1 half. So the one of the values of x for this equation, one of the values of x is pi over 6. Okay, now to get the value in the second quadrant, what I have to do is I have to use the same pi over 6 as a reference angle in the second quadrant over here. So when I use pi over 6 as a reference angle, so what must be the angle measure in the second quadrant for which the value of sin is 1 half? So for that, we have to subtract this pi over 6 from this pi to get the angle measure over here. So then we get pi negative pi over 6. So 6 times pi is 6 pi. 6 pi negative pi is 5 pi over 6. So I am getting 5 pi over 6 over here. Let me write it over here. So the second, the angle measure in the second quadrant is 5 pi over 6, for which the value of sin is 1 half. And I won't be getting any more solution for this equation because we have positive value for sin only in the first quadrant over here and the second quadrant over here. So if I go to the third quadrant and fourth quadrant, this is actually third quadrant and this is fourth quadrant. In third quadrant and fourth quadrant, the sign is negative. So I got two values for x. One is from the first quadrant and other one is from the second quadrant. Okay, now let's solve the second equation. So here the value of cosine x is negative square root of 3 over 2. So the value of cosine is negative. Usually the cosine is taking a negative value in the second quadrant and third quadrant over here. Okay, so we have to. So for this one also we'll be getting two solutions. One will be in the second quadrant, other one will be in the third quadrant. So in the first quadrant and in the fourth quadrant, cosine is positive. So we cannot consider the first and fourth quadrant because here cosine is negative. So to get the angle measure in the second quadrant and third quadrant, for which the value of cosine is negative square root of 3 over 2, first let me assume this negative value as a positive value. That is, let's assume that cosine x equals to square root of 3 over 2. Now what we have to do is we have to find the angle measure in the first quadrant over here, for which the value of cosine is positive square root of 3 over 2. So from the unit circle, we know that the value of cosine equals to square root of 3 over 2 for the angle measure pi over 6. That is for 30 degree angle measure, the value of cosine is square root of 3 over 2, positive square root of 3 over 2 in the first quadrant. Now we just consider the same angle measure. This angle measure should be taken as a reference angle in the second quadrant and third quadrant to get the angle measure for which the value of cosine is equal to negative square root of 3 over 2. So now I'm going to take this pi over 6 as a reference angle in the second quadrant and third quadrant as well. Let me take pi over 6. Okay, now to get this angle measure in the second quadrant, what I have to do is I have to subtract this pi over 6 from this pi. Then I'm getting pi negative pi over 6. It is simplified to 5 pi over 6 because 6 times pi is 6 pi, 6 pi negative pi is 5 pi over 6. Okay, now to get the angle measure in the third quadrant, I have to add this reference angle pi over 6 to this pi. Then I'm getting pi positive pi over 6. So 6 times pi is 6 pi. 6 pi positive pi is equal to 7 pi over 6. So for these two angle measures of 5 pi over 6 in the second quadrant, 7 pi over 6 in the third quadrant, the value of cosine is negative square root of 3 over 2. Let me write the solutions over here. That is, okay, 5 pi over 6. Already we have written the 5 pi over 6 over here. Even we got this one even for the first equation. We don't have to write this solution again. Okay, now let's write that 7 pi over 6. So now solving the given equation, we get three values for x, pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6 in the given interval.